With the recent preview of Mammon and the confirmation that the new episode of Helluva Boss will be coming out around Halloween this year, I thought now would be a good time to talk about everything we know about this upcoming episode and everything we can theorize about it. But real quick, we're giving away the opportunity for you to choose up to 3 signed prints from your favorite cartoon voice actors. Just sign up for our Discord server and set up your account with our crew bot so you can start earning tokens every time you chat in the server or leave comments on our videos. With those tokens, you can buy entries into our upcoming raffle, the winner of which can choose up to 3 signed prints from their favorite actors in shows like Helluva Boss or Murder Drones that they can hang on their wall. This is our biggest prize yet, with one person walking away with 3 prints of their choice, so join the server and don't miss out on this awesome giveaway. Now, Helluva Boss is a show that thrives off of variety. While Hazbin Hotel seems to be set entirely in the Pride Ring, Helluva Boss introduced us to 6 other rings of hell to explore. While Hazbin Hotel has a large main cast, Helluva Boss focuses on a much smaller main cast with a larger extended cast. This allows for us to cycle through locations and characters, trying out different combinations to constantly keep things fresh. However, when asked about Fizzarolli before episode 6 of season 2 came out, VivziePop explained that the next 2 episodes would actually be very Fizzarolli focused. Following this, we got a list of episode titles, with episode 7 being titled Mammon's Magnificent Musical Mid-Season Spectacular, featuring Fizzarolli. This confirmed not just that we'd be seeing Fizzarolli again, but seemingly that this would also be the second episode in a row where the focus will seemingly be on the Greed Ring. While the mid-season musical special could involve a tour all over Hell, it seems to be just the performance that Asmodeus and Fizz were talking about in episode 6. The Greed Ring in particular is important to the show, perhaps the most important ring so far, with us having 3 episodes so far taking place primarily in the Greed Ring. Greed was the first other ring we saw outside of the Pride Ring, despite the fact that Blitz seems to be from Pride and Moxie and Millie seem to be from Wrath. Mammon was also the first prince we got a look at and got to really hear about outside of Lucifer, with us seeing his face printed on money and references to him being all over Lululand. While we've had a lot of fun with Asmodeus, and he is definitely the most prominent prince so far, he's been shown to be not the ultimate villain to Blitz and Stolas, but perhaps even a friend and an ally after Stolas and Blitz helped bring Fizz back to him. Asmodeus instead is perhaps being set up to be the ultimate victim for who will be the ultimate villain, which I think may very well be Mammon. So far, the princes are actually not very evil. Asmodeus, as the Prince of Lust, just wants to live a party boy lifestyle with his people. Beelzebub, as the Prince of Gluttony, isn't great considering the Hellhound adoption pounds, but as a person to get to know and be friends with, she seems very approachable at her parties. Lucifer is the king of hell, and like the others, he will have his own issues, but ultimately doesn't seem to be that evil either, at least in relation to what we expect from hell. Mammon seems to be the odd one out so far, with him having the worst ring in hell to live in, and Asmodeus being afraid to send Fizzarolli there on his own because of how lawless it is. Lucifer even seems to have issue with Mammon, who ripped off Lululand from Lucifer's more popular Lulu World in the Pride Ring. However, the courts of hell found Mammon's park legally distinct, allowing Mammon to continue siphoning off the money that should be going to people like Lucifer, who seem to put his heart into his passion projects. Mammon seems happy to destroy his own ring for profit, and based off of the shark demons dealing with Angel in the Hazbin Hotel prequel comics, his practices seem to leak into other rings to some degree, which I imagine always makes them even worse than they are under their own prince's rule. Hazbin Hotel is ultimately a show about the self-destructive nature of humans and their vices, but Helluva Boss is about the 7 deadly sins at the end of the day, and while pride is considered the greatest of these sins because it can be used to justify anything, greed is often seen as its more disgusting runner-up. Pride is at least rooted in great power, even if it's an overestimation of one's power, but greed cares not for what you actually contribute to be worthy of that pride. Greed can be ugly and shallow and have no desire to prop itself up as right or moral with pride. Instead, greed can excuse the destruction of all things and people because the profit that can be made from it. Asmodeus seems to have issues with Mammon despite them having a close business relationship, what with Fizzarolli somehow becoming part of Mammon's brand. The last episode of Helluva Boss really taught us a lot about Fizzarolli's past, and it seems insane that we'd have a second episode focused largely on him right after all these revelations about what happened to him at the family circus. But with that in mind, I think that episode may have just been setting up this mid-season special, where we will get answers to who saved Fizzarolli and what happened to him after the circus accident caused by Blitz. Asmodeus, of course, has great feelings for Fizarolli and also seems responsible for the mechanical limb enhancements that Fizarolli has. Asmodeus seemed to develop this technology specifically to make love bots, but with Fizarolli crippled, they could be used to restore function to his body. Because they are mechanical, he could also use the limbs to move more wild and crazy, giving him that extra crazy clown aesthetic with the way he stretches and flips around. This would indicate that Asmodeus picked up Fizarolli first and restored his ability to move, but it raises the question of why either of them would really want to have Fizarolli go work for Mammon, and I think this episode will have this answered in one of two ways. First, I think that Mammon may have actually been the one to find Fizarolli, and perhaps was even the one who saved Fizarolli that night of the fire. Mammon seems to want to steal other people's ideas, and when he saw that the somewhat famous Fizarolli had lost his limbs and his performing space, he probably saw an opportunity to easily elevate Fizarolli to a new level of fame that would benefit him more. In photos from his phone, Fizz can be seen wearing Mammon merch with Blitz as teenagers, indicating they both were fans of him long before Fizz would end up working for Mammon, and Fizz's interest as a jester or clown was probably heavily influenced by Mammon over his childhood as a performer at Buxo Circus. Asmodeus would have already been developing Lovebot technology perhaps that Mammon would have been aware of, and I think it was Mammon who connected Fizz to Asmodeus to get those enhancements in this theory, and Asmodeus would fall in love with Fizz along the way. While the two were pretty clearly in love with each other in the present, their relationship was presented as being purely sexual to outside observers at first, and I think that it wasn't until later that their feelings would have developed and they would have had more of a relationship going on. And over time, Asmodeus would have taken Fizarolli closer and closer into his life and his business and away from Mammon's, though Fizz of course is still under contract with him. Now, the alternative theory is that Fizarolli actually did meet Asmodeus first and got his enhancements from Asmodeus then, but later would sign on to be the brand image for Mammon, though that seems less likely. It is possible, considering Asmodeus relies largely on sexual industries like his erotic toys and love bots, and loaning out Fizz to Mammon may have been one of the many ways they bring in money to the Lust Ring so they don't have to have a more essential industry like the hard-working farmers of Wrath. However, the discomfort Asmodeus has with Fizz working for Mammon, and Fizz being seen as Mammon's brand instead of Asmodeus's brand as a performer in Lust, really says to me that Mammon managed to meet Fizarolli first and Asmodeus second. Regardless of which direction this goes, it will be an interesting look into yet another Prince of Hell, perhaps the most important one to us in terms of the overarching story, as I think Asmodeus is going to want Fizz to get further and further away from Mammon, and that may cause problems. Mammon seems the most corrupt, as are his people. Crimson was unafraid to take Fizz hostage to get what he wanted out of Asmodeus, so I don't imagine Mammon would have much issue taking Fizz prisoner when he decides that Asmodeus is affecting Fizz's work as part of their brand. The episode as a whole will probably be very musical and animated, and with how much we learned in the last episode, I may be overestimating just how much we will learn from this one. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, or on Discord in our Hell of a Boss channel, where you can earn points for that raffle. Link is in the pinned comment down below, and I'll see you next time.